McFarlane just released The Resident Ring Bearers. Here's your look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse McFarlane Collector Edition Green Lantern Corps. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Those are the words of the ancient oath that every member of the Green Lantern Corps, the most elite institution the universe has ever known, must speak aloud before doing their sacred duty and charging up their emerald power rings, the most powerful weapons in the universe. The members of this intergalactic peace force come from every known sentient species in the cosmos, each a fearless warrior with indomitable power. I think I'm personally lacking the willpower to not want to buy more than one of these. How about just before we get a closer look, though, at the Green Lantern Corps, not specifically of one individual, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys. It's made up of several individuals that were kind of to provide this sample we could have a look at. Starting, though, with Tomar Ray as one of the alternate head sculpts that come included with the figure. It's going to stand at about 7.5 inches in height, or roughly about 18.5 centimeters tall. As for the Green Lantern Corps' body, it happens to be sharing the same one that we got with John Stewart, mosaic or otherwise. Because of that, you can also take the body's heads and swap them around if you want. That same body also got used as well for Sinestro, answering already a question I had of whether they're going to be ever releasing a Green Lantern body that could then work with Sinestro. And in fact, all of these could be the swappable heads. You can also as well, if you happen to have the Silver Age version of Hal Jordan, use also his head because it's using the exact same size ball joint. Maybe. We'll talk about body swapping in a second. First, let's talk about trading cards. The fact that first the Green Lantern Corps does have one, and that second it happens to be Tales from the Green Lantern Corps is the icing on the cake. You can see of the many members of the Green Lantern Corps, Tomar Ray just happens to be off to the side. Abensor is not going to be on here because Abensor is dead. On the side, though, you've got McFarlane Collector Edition, nicely done here in a silver font. On the back of the card isn't so much specifically about a read-up on one character, but of many. The read-up, in fact, quite a chunky read, including, of course, the oath on the top, does sort of give us more just a generalized idea of what the Green Lantern Corps are all about. I'm going to move that card off to the side. The figure, of course, does come and also include with the display stand. It would have been a nice little touch if they made the display stand DC logo, for example, green instead of just the black. There's all these marks on the side of this stand. It could very well be my own marks made, but I think it actually came off the press with a slightly darker color. Or maybe it's just me, I don't know. It seems like it's a little bit darker on the side, and when I took it out of the packaging, it came out like that. Either way, though, it does have a peg right at the top corner, and that can plug into either one of the boots of the Green Lantern member. Of course, you get, if you look at the lay of the land of stuff that comes included with the figure, he has quite a lot. 2 swappable head sculpts, first of all, and when you get him out of the packaging, he defaults already with Tomar Ray's head. You can easily swap that out as well for the alternate head sculpt. The figure does come included with Abensor. I really like Abensor's head sculpt. Nice additional texturing that they've added to the surface of the plastic. The color of the pink that they also used as well. Nice. Paint for the eyes looks good. Paint for the mouth as well looks good too. I mean, it's a really hard thing to look at a figure this good and then just only be settling on the idea of getting one of them. Maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe giving even a handful of these. This figure does definitely deserve to be an army builder. The fact that he gets as many things as he does as well, starting obviously with the Abensor head, the fact that you can buy 2. If you buy 2 right away, Tomar Ray and Abensor, you'll have right away 2 members of the Green Lantern Corps. We're going to put the head right over there. We're going to come back to that in a second. The figure does also come with some swappable hands. Closed fist on one side, a gripping hand on the other to hold the lantern. The figure strangely comes included with 2 relaxed hands. Now, I know there is a difference between the two. One is more of a open gripping hand, and one is a little bit more with the thumb closer to the hands. But I don't know, they seem so close to me like this. I would have just rather had 1 hand instead of 2. If anything, you probably could say that the shield he also comes included with, you could also hold it inside the hand like he's throwing it like a disc. That's the only guess I really had. I mean, it's not like you could really take yourself the Green Lantern. The grip isn't wide enough. It's never going to really stay in place. I mean, I guess if you wanted to have it like this, for example, you could. Just seems to me like if you're going to have a hand like this and you're going to have a hand like this, save yourself the plastic, guys. Come on, and just give us 1 hand instead of the 2. He does also come with another flying hand that's going to be good for then this side of the figure's body. He also comes included with another closed fist. I say another one because he has one down here, but that one is also projecting an image. It's rather a really strange thing too. But the closed fist, again, if you want to yank off the hand that he has on the ends of his forearm, just replace it with this one instead. Here's an interesting thing. The figure does come included with an energy projection hand. So buy into the idea, of course, that he's got himself the ring right here and he's projecting out an image. The image does look like it's just like it's projecting out energy. Yet, though, if you look at it like this, doesn't it look like he's projecting the image of an old woman? She's got her arms crossed, perhaps maybe about to give someone a hug. I don't know. Maybe it's Betty White. It just does look very strange to me, like it was specifically designed with the idea that it was supposed to look like something and not just an energy projection. It could be me just missing something that was alluded maybe in the comics, for example. There's a character, there's a scene, there's a panel where the Green Lantern projects an image like this, but it clearly looks to me more like a woman than it does just a random shaping of energy. Either way, though, if you did want to change this out with one of the hands, obviously you're going to want to stick with the same format, Green Lantern Corps or otherwise. The thumbs are always going to face inward, so we're going to pop this hand out. You're going to pop this hand in place. Now, one thing you can also see, too, is that the hands are painted in white. They start with green plastic, and then they paint the white of paint over top of that. We're just going to plug that in place. So, again, you got yourself the energy projection, or, again, he's talking to Betty White. I don't really know. Very strange. The other thing that the figure also comes included with as well, while he's handless right now, is he also comes with this version of a projected energy blast. Really looks super cool. Because as well that they're using the exact same peg size, if you wanted to, I'm just going to bring in John Stewart, for example. I'm just going to pop the hand that's off on his. Can I get this hand off? Of course, watch it be now the time that I wanted to actually make use of this hand. There we go. Got a little stubborn on me. We're going to go ahead and just pop this hand in place. It's more just the idea to show you that if you have this body, you got to essentially use the body parts and mix them around to other characters as well. It was a lot more stubborn than I was expecting it to be. Let's pop the hand back in place. By the way, though, too, this one is a white plastic. It's not a green plastic. So this is one of those cases where this probably would have started with white, and then they would have just painted the ring over top of it. All the other hands, probably because they have the projections all, you can see that they seem to start with green plastic instead. I wonder, I don't have it with me, I just wonder if you could take yourself like a light and shine through the you know what, hold on a second, why I'm wasting my time doing this. I just grabbed my black light just to see if that would actually project through. It's hard to really say. I mean, it could also very well just be shining across this part of the plastic. I mean, who cares? This is only going to be attaching onto the end of the arm anyways. Speaking of which, though, let's just go ahead and remove the hand. I popped the hand back in place just for the time being. Let's pop that in place. Yeah, it looks good. Now, again, you could really use these hands and share them around. Give them to the other Green Lantern Corps members as well if you want to. Probably going to end up maybe displaying that, I think, with Green Lantern Hal Jordan instead. But let's just pop that off, put the hand back the way I left it. And let's get a closer look at the defaulted head here. Now, out of the packaging, he comes with a Tomar Ray head. One of the first times I think we're actually getting a Tomar Ray. It looks really good. The beak bill on the front. Of course, he's got the mask there also on his face. Nice deep sculpting cuts there into this figure. Got some nice wrinkles there on the side. Of course, he's got the crest there on the top. Just a neat looking figure sculpt. I think for right now, I might just display the figure as Tomar Ray. I mean, it's so tempting, really, until I get another one of these to have them displayed with Abin Sur. Just to show you guys, by the way, what that looks like. Just want to pop the head off the provided peg, pop in place Abin Sur's head sculpt. Again, pop that in place like that. That's what it would look like with Abin Sur's head sculpt. I did, though, say earlier that what you could also do... Now, I had a few difficulties doing this just because, again, like when you're trying to remove the head sculpts, here's Sinestro's, for example. Sinestro's pops off. There we go. And while I always do this, this ends up always happening every single time. I want to do this also with Hal Jordan. He's going to do the exact same thing. The ball joints always end up popping off. But just to show you guys, though, okay, hold on a second. Let's just grabbing a pair of pliers. It's just yanking out the ball joint, at least for now. Just enough so I can show you guys what this looks like. You can take yourself Sinestro's head. A little bit of pressure required. You can pop in Sinestro's head sculpt. So again, one of the big issues that I had with the two Sinestros that we got so far was that this part had to be illuminated in yellow. If you don't like that look and you wanted to have yourself a Sinestro, just the regular Green Lantern Corps variety, you can also go this look as well. The one thing that they have to do, though, in order to accommodate both Abin Sur's and Tomar Ray's head is that they give him a green neck. It becomes more apparent as well if you try to use Hal Jordan's head, because, of course, he would have had a skin neck, not necessarily a green neck. But if you see it from the front, it's a serviceable body as well for Sinestro. Again, pop that off. There goes, again, the ball joint. Actually, the fact that the ball joint stayed with Sinestro isn't a bad thing at all, because when I tried to remove Hal Jordan's head, the same thing ended up happening. But at least with this ball joint, I could go ahead and just attach it onto the body. Now, you can probably already see this as well. If you didn't like necessarily the Silver Age look to the body of Hal Jordan, obviously you can use the one here that we get with the Green Lantern core. The head works perfectly fine. Of course, it still retains all the same levels of posability. But you may find yourself periodically grabbing yourself a little pair of pliers. You may also, like I've done this in preparation of this review because the same thing kept happening to me. I wanted to heat this up at least in hot water so that during the review I could easily remove the head and the ball joint would stay behind. But, you know, of course, as it always is, the ball joint stays with the heads. Again, going back to this, the only one downside to this is the fact that they aren't using a skin tone neck. So it may look a little strange from the side, but certainly from the front, it looks pretty good for Hal Jordan. Let's go ahead and just pop the head off. In the preparation as well, I already removed the ball joint that came included with Sinestro, or that stayed with Sinestro. Pop that back in place. And let's just take Abin Sur's head and snap that onto the ball joint. Again, it seems, obviously it's so much easier taking the heads off as they are popping them back in place. I don't know, Abin Sur seems to be a little bit harder of a head to get back on the ball joint. There we go. There we go. Okay. As for the rest of the body, as we've already kind of covered the territory before, it's the same one that we got with John Stewart. So with that gives as well this texturing that they've added to the body. Some may not like the texturing necessarily, would have preferred smoother fabric instead. I think it adds a little bit of extra character to this. Again, you're going to get the green neck, but you know, I guess one thing that they could have done too is if you're looking at the head for Tomar Ray, the head sticks down further. I guess you could have maybe given this a different color plastic, but I mean, like Abin Sur would have to then be purple. It probably wouldn't have jived at all with Tomar Ray. So I guess they decided to stick with green. Green is more the consistent color across the board. Of course, you got the Green Lantern symbol down below. This is painted in place rather than actually sculpted. All the texturing that they've done to the body here in green and black. You got the white gloves there down below. Even like the sculpting of the ring looks really good. Not just dabbing on a little bit of green and calling it a day. They actually did go in there and sculpt the ring nicely. Yeah, it's a good-looking figure. I mean, the hardest thing about this is just settling on one. The fact that you can use this with a Sinestro, you can use this with a John Stewart. I didn't even take really the head off the John Stewart body, but if you like kind of more just the classical look for Green Lantern, you could do that as well. Or again, like if you liked Hal Jordan's, hey, why not? You get yourself another body of this and simply use this head sculpt. It was a really great-looking Hal Jordan, and like to continue that trend. You know, again, if you want to use this body, yeah, definitely would work as well. For the articulation, okay. I know we've kind of swapped around heads and changed out. Okay, let's get to the articulation on the figure. So the posability on the Green Lantern core, sticking with Abin Sur, head's going to rotate all the way around. It looks up, it looks down. You can also move it back and forth as well. The head, if I can get that, why am I now having such a hard time getting the head in place? There we go. The head doesn't have any ball joint here. I mean, it looks like you'd be able to move it back and forth, but I can't seem to budge it. As for the arms, though, they rotate all the way around. You can hinge the arms out 90 degrees. There's a bicep swivel. Of course, there is the double hinge on the elbow. That's always there as well. The hands rotate all the way around. The upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. The lower abdomen is also the same. The lower trunks, as always the case, generally are softer plastic. It's pretty fit to the body, though, so it doesn't feel like it sticks out further. The legs do split out. You can take them moving forward, obviously, or move them back. A swivel at the top of the thigh. Double hinge on the knee. No articulation here for the boots, but of course you do have the ankle pivot. That's always nice to see. An ankle rocker is good to see as well. And of course you got yourself your toe articulation too. The hard thing really when it comes to a figure like this is just settling on one. I mean, Todd and his team have given us enough of the tools here that you can leave it with the collectors that you can then decide how many of these you actually would want. Considering that, first of all, out the gate, you get two stellar-looking sculpts, Tomar Ray and Abin Sur. So right there, if you wanted to get two of them on display, you'd have to pick up a second figure. If, of course, you already have the one. Both the head sculpts, neither one would really be ones I would want to put back in the tray. Ultimately, at least for right now, I'm going to have to. I think, though, while I like the look of Abin Sur, I might stick with Tomar Ray. I think he's the better of the two heads. And just because, again, like he's a current member of the Green Lantern Corps. Sorry, Abin Sur is dead. You could have him more so, I think he'd be the one I would more so display more first and foremost. But because, of course, the figure does have a same universal ball joint as both decapitated heads of Hal Jordan and Sinestro, you can then, of course, if you want to buy more than them, you can have the figures displayed as Green Lantern Corps members too. Of course, he does also get a whole bunch of extra accessories, the shield, the projection of the beam. Of course, he has himself a proper Green Lantern lantern. Nicely, of course, done here in translucent plastic. I don't know, we didn't really spend a whole lot of time even talking about this. There's no posability at all to the handle, but you can see that they've molded this in a really nice translucent green plastic, illuminating only the ends here. So you've got a slightly lighter coloring of green on both ends. And of course, he does have the proper gripping hand to hold that as well. The only thing that's a little bit of a weird thing is, again, like what's up with this? It's a projection of an old woman. I mean, clearly she's got her arms crossed. I don't know if she's holding baked cookies. Hopefully that plate's not too hot that she's going to burn her hands. But it does look a little strange to me. I'm sure it's a reference to something, or maybe it's just, again, like it's an energy projection that just happens to look like a woman. Other than that, though, it's a really nice release, one that certainly welcomes the idea of getting an army builder of this, not only just for the fact that you have two heads to work with, two great-looking heads, but he also has the potential of being able to be a carrier of a body for other alternate head sculpts that came with other figure releases. The help of Avensor to help wrap up now the review for the new Green Lantern Corps from McFarlane Toys. You'll notice, though, with that description and in the title, it's not specifying one character. The idea, though, is that the Green Lantern is made of many characters. And with that idea in mind, being given a universal body like this, and with a potential of a universal ball joint, you could really ideally use this body for other characters. And that's the thing I really like the most. Defaulted out of the packaging, he already has two stellar sculpts, Avensor and Tomar Ray. Considering, though, that Tomar is an active, as far as I know, an active member still of Green Lantern Corps, he's going to be the one that's front and center. The idea, though, is I'm still going to want to pick up a second one of these so that Avensor can still also be displayed on my shelf. But it was smart on their part as well, McFarlane Toys that is, that they gave a universal-sized ball joint. I'm not sure if it's going to work with every character, like you couldn't really take Batman's head, for example, because we get Batman of various sizes. But at least, though, John Stewart, Hal Jordan, the Silver Age one, which was surprising the most, and also Sinestro, those would be all ones I was thinking right away. Could they work with this body? And as you saw in this review, even though I struggled a bit getting that ball joint back in place, the answer is yes. If you wanted to use a regular Green Lantern body with the Sinestro we got from before, you can. You didn't like necessarily the Silver Age body for Hal Jordan and you want to use a different one instead, you can use this one too. There's definitely potential available with this figure, and if anything could be an army builder from what we've gotten so far from Ton and his team, it's this release right here. He has, of course, many different accessories too, more than you'll ever really need. I've got the beam projection in one hand, the shield on the other, but he also comes included with his lantern. And it comes with a really strange, again, old woman-shaped construct. Not really even sure, again, what that's all about. But at the end of this is one of the Green Lanterns I've always really wanted. Just a standard body with the potential to use it for other figures as well. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. Could you see yourselves as well wanting to pick this one up and utilizing one of the heads we've gotten from another release? Also, big thank you to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that, of course, came through and provided the sample of new Green Lantern Corps, which was a McFarlane Collector's Edition release. If you guys did enjoy this video, do it a solid, throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, but the most important thing is come back. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.